Back for another edition, Football in Focus, over the Kickback Jacks on Battleground Avenue. Good to have you on board tonight here at Greensboro Sports Radio, greensborosports.com. Got a large show planned this evening. Got some big football games tomorrow night. We'll be talking about some of those as time goes on. Dudley at West Forsyth tomorrow night. Southeast Guilford at Scotland County. Northern Guilford at Grimsley. Page at Davie County, just a few. Eastern Guilford at Northeast Guilford. Got Northwest at Smith tomorrow night. Southern Guilford at Ragsdale. Reedsville at High Point Central. Winston-Salem Reynolds at Southwest. Got Moorhead Panthers at Western Guilford Hornets. Got the Cannon Academy tomorrow night. Cannon at Concord at High Point Christian Academy. At 7 p.m. kickoff there. Central Davis at Bishop McGinnis, all tomorrow night. Tonight, McMichael at High Point Andrews this evening over at Simeon Cinema High Point. Kickoff is 7 p.m. tonight. So McMichael at High Point Andrews this evening. Be sure to check that out. Joe Sierra from the News and Record will be there at highschoolextra.com. Tonight, McMichael, High Point Andrews, Simeon Stadium kickoff again 7 p.m. That'll be the first varsity kickoff. A lot of JV games tonight going on also. And the ACC Network launches tonight, 7:30 p.m. on ESPN, the new channel. Joe Bostic today named to the All-ACC's all-time football team from ESPN. That was named today. He's a Ben L. Smith graduate, 1975 from the Clemson Tigers. Bostic, that's Joe, started all 4 seasons between 75 and 78. Earned All-ACC first-team honors in 77 and 78. Joe Bostic, in 77, he won the ACC's Jacob Blocking Trophy, given handed to the best blocker in the league and determined by the head coaches. So Joe Bostic named to the ACC's all-time football team today. From ESPN, the new channel tonight. ESPN going to launch ACC Network at 7:30. Got Panthers football tonight against New England, 7:30 here at Kickback Jacks. So Panthers tonight will be kicking off. And going to be watching Jacoby Myers out of NC State and also Maurice Harris out of Northern Guilford, fighting those wide receiver spots. All that tonight on the ACC Network on ESPN. And again, Dudley West Forsyth, big game tomorrow night. Another big game tomorrow night will be the Northwest Guilford at Smith game. Next Friday night, we got Northeast Guilford at Smith. And tonight, got Ray Linney with us from Smith High School. Ray is with us. He's got a big event planned next Friday night. Ray, if you will, tell us a bit about that big event next Friday coming up over at Smith.
The big event we got, Andy, is we're trying to honor the 1963-64 football team, the very first football team at Ben L. Smith, coached under Claude Manzi. And of course, you know now Claude's name is on our stadium, Claude Manzi Stadium. And we're trying to get all the guys together and name them. And those that played with me in that year, 63-64, if you can get out next Friday, we'd sure love to have you. We also want to, if any of the parents come, or some of them have passed, and the parents want to come, we'd love to have you. We want to announce everybody's name, the coaches and everybody, and those that have children and parents that are still around would love to hear us honor this football team.
Now, you mentioned parents, maybe some of the children, too, of the players.
Yeah. Yes, some of the children.
Some of the wives and the husbands can't come, maybe the wife might be there?
Yeah, I'm trying to get some of the husbands that, we have one fella that I think an awful lot about, was one of my linemen, was Wayne Butler. And Wayne's, we tried to get Wayne here, but Wayne is ailing a little bit now, and we're hoping that maybe we can get his wife to come.
His wife, Karen?
Yeah, his wife, Karen, to come. So
I guess Wayne is almost, we put him into classification, sad to say this, to announce this, but terminally ill.
Yeah, that's what was told us, that he was terminally ill. We're hoping that in the future that we may be able to try and get the banner up that would remain there for always, for history. We just got some complications and things to go through, but we'd love to get that put up.
It'll be up that night though, right? At least temporarily up? Got to get that up temporarily?
Yeah, we're hoping to have it up temporarily so everybody can see it.
When they come in at night?
When they come in that night at the game, and I'm really looking forward to this, and I appreciate Andy for all his work to help me out doing this. And
yeah, well, the first time we got together was way back in May when we got contacted between you and I, between Don Tilley, Parks and Rec, connected us up and put that piece on the website. Now we're trying to get other media involved too. How has that gone so far, getting other media involved?
Well, I haven't had a whole lot of luck. We tried to talk with News 2. They haven't gotten in touch with me yet. Well, with a lot of other people, I had some in Winston-Salem.
I know you tried to get Buster Brown
Buster
involved at one time.
Brown, sure did.
Yeah.
Tried to get Buster involved, and had quite a few people that have tried to help, but just hadn't heard anything. I'm trying to get you guys, all the guys that are listening to this, that played that year, give me a call so we can get together and get in together. My number is 336-202-0104. And if you can call that number, call me at any time. I'm up kind of late. But I just appreciate Andy for having me on his show tonight and to be able to do this.
Well, how did you go about contacting the players? How did you reach these guys that you've reached out to so far? How did you make contact with them?
They have a site on Yahoo.com that's called Classmates, and I got to see a lot of them. Matter of fact, they constantly put their names and things on there, and a lot of the guys that I played with, I sent out some names to them to call me, and hadn't heard anything yet, so I don't know how well that's working, and we're hoping I'm not going to be the only one. So,
well, you know, you got your yearbook over there. You brought that with you tonight. You got your yearbook there, and it's got a lot of your teammates in there from back in those days.
Yeah, we have, of course, Wayne and Charlie. Charlie and Wayne work for the Parks and Recreations and the Coliseum.
That'd be Charlie Welburn and Wayne Butler.
Charlie Welburn and Wayne Butler worked for the Coliseum, and if the Coliseum was open during that time, Charlie and Wayne was there. So that would be something that everybody would probably love to see if Wayne can make it. But like I said, he's really.
Now, what position did you play back in those days? I see in that photograph, number 32 on that back line. Pretty good size guy. Then pretty good size still today. But what position did you play? Were you a running back?
I was what they call a blocking back.
You told me that on the phone.
If y'all know anything about the single wing, Manzi bought in the single wing that year.
Yeah.
Nobody knew about the single wing, and Manzi went way back and bought that up, and we ran the single wing, and actually the quarterback was the blocking back, and then you had the other two backs behind you.
They carried the ball?
And they carried the ball.
So the quarterback actually did the blocking.
So
you were quarterback then?
I wasn't considered a quarterback, but that's what I played. That's the position that was. And
now, did you line up under center or in the shotgun?
No, I lined up right behind, between the tackle and the.
So you didn't line up even with the center. You lined up staggered to the side of the lineman.
Staggered, and I led through the line, and any guy that we let through, that was my job to take him out.
And the quarterback, the center would snap the ball to the running back. They just run the ball.
Two
running backs in the backfield.
Two running backs in the backfield.
Left back, right back. They run it left and right.
But we ran both of them stacked or either side by side.
So with the quarterback being a blocker, sometimes in the formation with a quarterback and a fullback and another running back, with a quarterback, you had an extra blocker like that.
Yeah, that gave us an extra blocker. When we were going to the left, we'd let the guy through, and my job was to go through and take him out and open up the play. In other words, he thought he was going to get the tackle, and all of a sudden he's been taken out. So yeah, that was, and then as I went on, a couple of years I ended up being a defensive end, which I really enjoyed that because I got to run down a lot of quarterbacks.
Did you ever get to carry the ball, any? Get your hands on the ball?
Let me think if I can't ever remember getting to carry the ball.
Was Coach Manzi there in charge your entire time over there? Was he the head coach the whole time?
He was.
Okay.
Yes, he was the head coach.
You had some good assistant coaches too, didn't you?
Yeah, I had some great assistant coaches. I had, at that time, I had Coach Lee, I had Coach Chatham, I had Coach Joyce. Jackie Joyce.
He's legendary too, isn't he?
Yeah, Jackie's legendary for baseball.
Yeah.
And he was a legendary coach there. And really, the reason I wanted to try to get this group together is because I had so much fun. And you wouldn't have thought that being the first and only black to play at Smith that year.
Now, you had this is kind of crazy. This is about a photograph. You probably got about 40 guys, 45 guys in this team. And I mean, I'll just say this: in today's tournament, you're the only black dude on that whole group. I mean,
right.
That's interesting.
Yes, the closest guy that was close to my color was an Indian guy named Locklear.
Locklear.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was the closest thing, but was there
any major adjustment for you there?
It was, and as always, you got to beat the bully. I'm not going to tell you who the bully was at that time, but I never did like fighting and stuff. So,
well, the good thing was you being a good player like you were. The other guys would probably rally on you and support you because you helped them out. You're bust your butt blocking people as a quarterback / blocking back. I mean, you're doing dirty work for the team. They had to be proud, had to be liking you, especially those running backs that got those extra yards. You help them get those yards.
Yeah, they love the blocking backs. We ran that, like I said, all 3 years I was there, we ran it, and we had Frankie Miller, and we had Mark Wilson, our quarterback, and we had some good receivers, Eddie Hill, and a few names to name.
Did you guys throw the ball in that year? Any passes?
We threw some, yeah, because Eddie Hill was one of our best receivers at that time. But yeah, we threw out of the backfield. Frankie would catch out of the backfield. It was a type of offense that you were stacked to the right and only had two guys on the left side.
So the best bet probably was snap that ball to the left running back, because the right running back, he can also become another blocker. All you got's a wedge, push those guys up the field.
Yeah, he became another blocker, and then of course, a lot of times we would pull a guy from the right side and send him out behind me. I'd take out the first, and then the other one would come behind him.
You had a lot of success with that single wing, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a lot of success with the single wing. Later years, when we got some of the other guys, we had Don Cruz, Michael Porter, and Ike Oglesby.
When you got Ike Oglesby, I know you had some good running help there.
Yeah, I didn't get to play with Ike. I got to play with Mike and Don Cruz. And, of course, we went to a Burlington game, and Donald was on the 5, and he carried 5 men in the end zone on his back for a touchdown.
What was his name again?
Donald Cruz.
Donald Cruz. Wow.
Yeah, Donald Cruz. So I really enjoyed the guys that I played ball for. When you mix colors together, you would think you were going to have a whole lot of problems, but I didn't have. I had more problems off the field than I had on the field. On the field, we were like a team.
Everybody going for the same single mission.
Same thing. Claude wouldn't let us be nothing but family.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's why you want to get these guys back together today?
Yes, I'd love to get them back together, and those that's still around, I'd sure love to see some of them.
Who do you think's the best bet to try of getting these guys in so far? Who are the guys you think you could probably get over there? You probably got your list down now to some guys you like are maybes, maybe nots, and some guys look pretty good chance to get these guys come in next Friday.
Yeah, I'd love to see Mark Wilson, who was our quarterback, was our first quarterback, and I'd love to see. I'd pray and do anything. All y'all praying out there, praying people, pray for Wayne. The Lord we know how the Lord can touch him. So,
because you went by and saw him about 2 weeks ago. You saw him.
I did. Yeah. Me and my best friend went by to see him, and he was eating a little bit then, but now they say he's not eating, and we just love to see him. Craig Noonan, I'd run into Craig Noonan at some of the games I went to at Smith, and not too many of those that played with me, but those that remembered what I did to help get this football team undergo and playing at Smith High School. So I was the forefront of it.
And you kind of stayed around Smith after you graduated, kind of hung in there, didn't you, around the school?
Yeah, I've been trying to help them out. I actually, with my best friend, we actually coached girls softball. I coached for 8, and my friend Dickie Mebin coached for 9 years. And then, of course, last year they didn't have a coach for the boys baseball team, so they brought us in, and now we're coaching the boys baseball team at Smith High School.
So you'll be coaching baseball again this coming year, probably?
Yeah, and hopefully I have a granddaughter that plays ball, and I run behind her, so hopefully hopefully I'm going to be able to. Schedule has changed a lot with her, and I also kept the clock for 5 years. Just anything I could do to help boost my schools' whereabouts and what they are about, and anything that we can do to help them. And that's why I really want to bring back the guys that played with me, because this is history for the school that a lot of young people don't know about.
So what will we be doing that night? If you get the players there that night, will they be recognized at halftime before the game? Any idea about that?
That is what we'll do at halftime. We're looking to announce it at halftime and get all the players' names read out and see if there are any ones, because there are probably some parents that didn't know or did know, and their children or the players' children don't know what their parents did by breaking the color barrier in 1963 when they integrated the schools.
And that was the first football team at Smith that year too, right?
That is the first
football team ever at Smith, plus first black athlete at Smith. A lot of firsts involved in that 1963 bunch.
Yes, a lot of firsts. So I'd like for these guys, any of y'all hear me now or whatever, I sure would love to have you there to be honored with me and the others that will be there. So like I said, I gave you my number earlier and stuff to so you can call me, and we still got one more week.
What do you got to say to the teammates that can't be there that night? I mean, you got to put a word out for those guys too, and they're going to miss some of those guys. They won't be there that night. What are you telling them these days?
Well, I want to tell them that through that and everything, that maybe some of us could get back together. It doesn't have to be just that night. We can still get back together, and we can do some things for that team, and letting go over and work with the school and stuff. I know Mike Porter did that for a year, and he coached. And I played with Mike Porter when he was a senior, and I was when I was a senior, and he was a sophomore.
What about, did you play other sports at Smith back in that day?
Yeah, I played. I ran track. I ran high jump, and I ran track. And I actually high jumped with another name that was real famous over there, was Layman Williamson. And Bob McAdoo.
I was going to say, did you ever come in contact with Big Bob McAdoo?
Yeah, in the parks. We played with Bob, and it's kind of funny.
Around Gillespie Park?
Bimbo Park.
Bimbo, okay.
Yeah, Bimbo Park, and we used to throw Bob's stuff back and everything, and then look what he did. He went to the pros, played at Carolina. So, yeah, I played with a lot of those guys, and of course, everybody would have thought Bob, being 6'11", was the best high jumper, but Layman Williamson still holds the record. I think it was 7'4" that he jumped back then. So
they just don't seem to be hitting those numbers these days. So I mean, 7'4", people aren't familiar with that too close. That is that's unreal.
That is awesome.
In today's circles of high jump and track, that's unreal.
Yeah, back then, yes, it was. It was very high standard.
So you played football, basketball, and in the spring you did.
I did.
Baseball?
I ran track.
And track.
No. I wanted to play baseball, but
yeah, you told me about that story one time. It just didn't work out.
It didn't work out, so I ran track. And
what event did you do there?
High jump and what they called then was the 220.
Right.
Yeah, the 220.
I think it's the crazy thing. I think they're still all the same for the most part. I think 200 meters is still 220. I think 400 meters is still 440. I think they're still the same. They just want to get real fancy when they brought the meters in a few years later.
Yeah, because the meters made it, instead of 100 yards, they made it 110 yards. That's what the meters did. So when you think about it, if you're running the football field and you get to the end zone, well, the end zone is 10 yards. So you run on through the end zone and you run 100 meters.
And looking at the guys that should be with you next Friday night, a lot of guys will be coming back, you hope. And do you see an everlasting bond among? I mean, you don't get to see these guys much these days, but is there a bond that's still there, you think?
Yeah, I think that everybody pretty much seems to be moved out of town or doing something, but it would be nice to have their numbers or get some of the guys call me so we can get together, and it'd be nice to celebrate that. I remember one fella that wasn't fond of me, but we became best friends. His name was Walt Messer, and he was a great football player too. And actually, he had some sons that played at Smith after him. So that was great. Now my brothers went over there. All 5 of us in my family went to Smith High School, and I had a brother that played baseball, Tony Linney, played baseball for Coach Joyce. So, and then I had one that played in the band, Alessandro, and of course my sister Valerie was on the debate team. So we was
well represented.
We were well represented while we was over there.
What about you mentioned Coach Joyce? You talked about Coach Manzi. Coach Manzi now passed away. Stadium named in his honor. Do you think you have any luck getting Coach Joyce, get him over there and try to get maybe Coach Jack Chatham, some of those coaches over there? Yeah,
I'm hoping to find. I hadn't heard anything from Jack Chatham in a while, and I think since he left Dudley as a coach. But Coach Joyce, I ran into him once at Biscuitville and got a chance to talk with him. And I was glad to do that because there were a lot of kind of bad feelings between us, but we made up behind that, and I let him know that I never had no hard feelings towards him. So that's the kind of person I am. I always want to make up for any past misunderstandings and stuff. And if any of the football players had that, I'd like for them to know today that, man, I was proud to be a part of that football team.
Ben L. Smith means a lot to you.
Yes, it does. Ben L. Smith means a lot.
You still bleed probably green and gold.
Yes, I do. I still bleed green and gold.
And I guess you feel like, too, what about, are some of the fans that still come to the games today, some of the same people who attended games back in those days? Do you still see some of the same faces that we had probably 50 years ago?
Yeah, actually, I think, 2003, we did a 50th anniversary, school anniversary, and a lot came then. Of course, Ike still comes to the game, Mike still comes to the game, and I'm talking about Ike Oglesby and Mike Porter. And Carl, his brother, they played at Smith.
Those Porter brothers are probably top to come out of Smith, right?
There were 3 of them that played.
3 of them, actually.
Yeah, there were 3 of them that played, and we were very proud of those guys. And, of course, Ike and Donald Cruz. Donald Cruz was one great running back. And we had the Stevenson brothers, Johnny and Lindy. Johnny was a few years behind us, but Lindy happened to be one of my quarterbacks. Mark graduated first year after we were there. Had Bobby Heave, who was a lineman. Had quite a few guys that I just can't name all of them. I'll probably go down this list here and name out all of them, run through it. If I can give a quick holler, if Andy doesn't mind.
Yeah, give a shout out to these guys.
All right, we had Coach.
As long as we get these guys, we got to get this video, this audio, get this in there, get it to them. We got to reach these guys somehow.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. We had Coach Lee. And we had Phil Barker, Barry Morgan, Walter Messer, Gary Troxler, Clarence Cosner, Bobby Tucker, Frankie Walker, Sean Hatch, Mark Wilson, Lindy Stevenson, Coach Joyce. We had Joe Lennons, Frankie Baines, Philip Councilman, Clay Wilson, Mike Lowe, Craig Newnham, Tommy Goodman, Bill Everett, Bobby Heath, Joe Kerr, James Badeau, Coach Ayers, and Coach Chatham, Vince Marchesota, Bill Hines, Phil Miller, J.B. Pearson, Eddie Hill, Howard Smith, James Huckleberry, Charlie Welborn, Wayne Butler, Terry Aycock, Dwight Fry, and myself, Ray Linney.
That's wild because you're the very last name on that whole list. You're on the back row, to the far right in that yearbook picture. And you mentioned Phil Barker. Is that the same Phil Barker that later coached basketball some over at Grimsley? He and Wayne Butler, I think, friends.
Yeah, Wayne coached at Grimsley too.
And Phil was there a while with Phil Weaver. You remember Phil Weaver coached the boys against both. I think maybe Phil Barker might be the same guy.
Yeah, they may be the same person, but I thought Weaver was on here with me, but I guess it wasn't. But yeah, I would love to see a lot of these guys. Like I said, Eddie Hill, Joe Lennons. Those are some of the guys that were that were bullies, but they had their fun with me, and I had fun too. So it was nothing real ugly.
You probably figured out how to kind of settle the score too eventually with these guys. You can probably figure out a way in practice if you need to get to these guys. With your abilities as a pretty big blocking back, you probably could even things up a little bit just on the field during the course of playing football, settle things.
Well, now this picture made me look big, but soaking wet, I never weighed more than 143 pounds.
What are you weighing? I mean,
I'm weighing, I don't mind telling it, I weigh 246. I came down from 275.
Wow, you got big for a while.
Yeah, I did. I played football at A&T for a little while, a couple years. And,
now, when you got to A&T, were you still 146?
No, I had gotten up to, well, while there, I got up to 170 pounds.
Let's say if they had you at 246 or so, you would have been probably a lineman by the time you got to A&T.
Ran back punts and stuff.
Yeah,
and, I had Elvin Patel on the team that
year. Houston Oiler, man.
Yeah.
Big time. He's in the NFL Hall of Fame, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He was All-Pro 8 of the 9 years he played for the Houston Oilers.
Because all those Greensboro guys back in those days, guys like Charlie Sanders at Dudley and Elvin Patel came out of A&T, those guys in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Big names.
Yeah, there's a few more of them, too, that I can't call right now.
What about those Bostic brothers? They were later than you. They were younger than you. They came later, but they did pretty well for themselves too.
Yeah, they played football, and they were there when my brother was there playing baseball. Tony Linney was there, and he played baseball, and he knew the Bostic boys, and so yeah, they were great. They were great, and Vince Evans. Let's not leave out
Vince the Prince. Played for the Chicago Bears and was
yes,
a big time Raiders.
He held
Cal in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah,
he put this on the map.
He held Chicago together until McMahon got back, and they won a Super Bowl, basically because of Vince. So when
he won that Rose Bowl for USC, that really put him on the map. People have not seen him play. They saw him on NBC on that New Year's Day in that bowl game. He really hit the spotlight, hit the big stage.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. We were real proud of him.
Now, here's another story talking about Vince Evans. I heard back in the old days, Vince was actually over at Page and didn't like the way things were going at Page. He came over to Smith. You ever heard that rumor?
No, I hadn't heard that
story. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a great story because my wife went to Page, so I married a girl from Page.
Yeah.
That's a rivalry at the house. So I still have a lot of fun and stuff that goes on.
Well, you look this thing over for next week coming up. It's going to be Northeast Guilford at Smith next Friday night. Ray Linney will be there, and you can call Ray again at what number, Ray?
336-202-0104. And that's Ray Linney.
Do you have an email address?
I do. RayLinney@yahoo.com. Very easy.
Easy to remember. RayLinney@yahoo.com. And that's spell Linney for us again.
Linney.
Absolutely. And you look this over for next week. You're going to have everybody come out next Friday night, the former players, former coaches that you can pull together, bring them over there. We're going to try to honor them at halftime, and there will be some special recognition.
Yes, that's what we're hoping to do, and we're hoping that this will get out so that people will say, oh man, I'd love to be there, and we'd love to have you there. And
tell us, as we get ready to close a couple minutes here, what gave you this impetus, this idea to put all this together? How did this come about for you?
Well, they were honoring black athletes that went to Smith, and I was the very first, they wanted to honor me, and I kind of told them, well, I didn't play football by myself, so I had a lot of guys that played with me, so I thought that would be, especially being the very first football team, that I would love to have them there to be honored with me.
And you get ready for it. Tell us what else you're doing at Smith these days. You're still helping out there some nowadays.
Yeah, I help, like I said, I help coach baseball, which we did softball for 8 years, my 8 and my Mebin's first 9. But the girls were a little upset with us last year, but we told them in order to get the recognition that we needed, we said, girls, if we had a coached y'all this year, then we wouldn't have had a boys baseball team. And of course, I knew some of them's brothers played on that team, and a few of them's little boyfriends played on that team. So they accepted it, and so that's what me and my best friend do. We do a lot of help. He went to Ragsdale, so he's now over there helping coach the volleyball. He helped with basketball last year, And he does a lot. He just retired from being a custodian over there. So
that's Dickie Mebane?
That's Dickie Mebane.
Gotcha.
Yeah, those that don't know Dickie, his name is Richard.
Richard?
That was his nickname when we were growing up. We've been friends, playing ball together, semi-pro baseball. And the principal 2 years before him was the one that put us in place because we halfway helped raise him, and that was Mr. Rogers.
And Mr. Rogers was a pretty good principal back in the day, huh?
Yeah, he was. Yes, he was.
Yeah. And who's in charge now, Mr. Hoskins?
Mr. Hoskins, yeah. And then Ken, Ken gonna get me, the assistant principal. Okay. But all of these guys are great people, I tell you.
It must be going to be a big week because I think Sunday at Smith High School, Kamala Harris from California, she'll be there speaking. She's coming to town on a Democratic presidential tour.
Yeah,
so
I did hear that.
Smith is coming Sunday. She'll be pretty big week for Smith.
I did hear that. Of course, I won't be able. I won't be able to be there. We have a planned trip to go to Norfolk to the Norfolk Jazz Festival, so I had already planned.
I'm on the air right now, Coach.
So
let me call you back a little bit.
We enjoy sports at Smith, and we're trying to make it better. That's what my role is, going over there and helping make it better.
Let me roll, because I'm on.
So I'm actually, I don't mind telling my age because I'm happy that I was able to get there. I'm actually 71 years old, and I still play a lot of sports and hit the ball to the guys, and I did pitch one time to them. But I don't think I'll do that again, not from that far back.
Yeah, I just had to take a little phone call. It was Coach Slate. He used to coach at Southeast years ago, Bill Slate. I don't know if you remember him or not. He was a long time ago. He coached against Jackie Joyce. He coached against all those guys back in the day.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, Coach Slate. Tough back day. So next Friday night, Smith High School, going to honor the first black athlete ever. That'll be Ray Linney, plus going to honor the 1963 Smith football team, first ever at Smith. And it's been a hard job trying to get this going. You're still working hard.
It really has. And like you said, we've been working on this since May. I called him and was looking for Don Tilley and ran into Andy. And Andy has been a wonderful fella helping me do this. And we hope that this thing is going to turn out like I had planned for it to do and honor all the guys that played football with me in 1963-64.
Ray, thank you much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
We'll be there next Friday night. Plan to be at the game.
All right. It was a pleasure.
You got it. We'll take a quick break. Chris Zellis is up next. If Chris is in the house, he's there. Yes, he is.